Most people think women's pockets disappeared because of fashion. That's the polite story. The real story is that pockets are about power. Who gets to carry money, keys, papers, and private space, without asking permission. And for centuries, women having that power was treated as dangerous. Because a pocket is not just a piece of cloth, a pocket is independence you can hide in your palm. Picture a street in London in the late 1700s. Carriages, smoke, market stalls. A woman moves through the crowd with careful steps. She isn't just watching her hemline, she's guarding her life. Because everything she owns that matters, coins, a needle, a small key, maybe a folded note, has to be carried in a way that doesn't invite theft or suspicion. Now look at a man walking past her. His coat has pockets, his waistcoat has pockets, his breeches have pockets. He can carry money, documents, a pocket watch, a key to a door he owns, without anyone questioning it. And she? If she carries the same things, people stare, not because it's bulky, because it signals something society didn't want her to have: privacy and mobility. We treat pockets like a design detail. But historically, pockets were a technology. They were a private container attached to the body, portable storage that turned a person into a moving safe. If you have pockets, you can hold money without a purse you might lose, keep keys without asking someone else to open the door, carry paper, addresses, contracts, letters, receipts, move through the world with small decisions under your control. A pocket doesn't just carry objects, it carries options, and that's exactly why women's pockets became controversial. Here's the twist: women's pockets weren't always missing. For a long time, women used tie-on pockets, separate fabric pouches tied around the waist under layers of skirts and petticoats. Hidden, secure, private. There's a reason. These pockets were worn under clothing, not just to protect from pickpockets, but because society was uneasy with the idea that a woman could store things without oversight. Those tie-on pockets could carry coins and small savings, sewing tools, a snack, a token, a religious charm, a personal letter sometimes, items a woman did not want found. And because they were hidden under layers, they created a private zone, almost like a small locked drawer that walked with you. That private zone mattered more than people admit, because in many places, women's legal and economic lives were constrained. A hidden pocket wasn't a revolution, but it was a crack in the wall. Then something changes, and it doesn't arrive as a law or an announcement. It arrives as a silhouette. Dresses begin to slim down in certain eras. Waistlines shift. Fabrics change. The shape of fashion becomes tighter, lighter, more revealing, and suddenly those hidden tie-on pockets don't fit. Not comfortably, not invisibly. So women are told, you don't need that pocket. Carry a bag, a purse, a reticule, small, delicate, visible. And that shift sounds innocent, until you understand what it did. It moved women's storage from private to public, from hidden control to visible dependence. The small handbag, especially the early versions, was not just an accessory. It was a new rule. A bag is carried in the hand or on the arm. It can be forgotten. It can be grabbed. It can be inspected. It's also a signal. Here are my belongings. I am carrying them openly. That matters in a world where women's movement was socially monitored. If you have a handheld bag, you are always slightly occupied. One hand is taken, your storage is visible, and you can't easily carry much. Which means you don't carry tools for work, large amounts of money, documents, heavy keys, anything that suggests you're prepared to act independently. And it's not an accident that when pockets shrink or vanish, the alternative is often a container that feels decorative. Like the object is saying, you may carry things, but not power. Here's where the boring fashion story becomes a power story. When pockets exist in men's clothing, they support a life built around travel transactions, tools, keys, paperwork, timekeeping, pocket watches, ownership, Pockets serve the everyday mechanics of public life. And for a long time, women were pushed toward a life centered on the private sphere: home, family, domestic labor. If you keep women out of pockets, you keep them out of the natural carry system of the marketplace. You also make certain actions harder: carrying personal savings, discreetly holding a key to a room, a drawer, or a workplace, transporting letters without them being seen moving through a city without announcing your possessions. This isn't about banning a pouch, it's about shaping behavior. When your clothing won't hold your necessities, you must rely on someone else to carry them a bag that can be taken the idea that you shouldn't need those things anyway. Pockets become a quiet border, not drawn on a map, stitched into fabric. There was another fear surrounding women with pockets. Not just independence, suspicion. A pocket is a hiding place. And in societies that monitored women's virtue, mobility, and social boundaries, hiding places made people nervous. A hidden pocket could carry money that wasn't accounted for, love letters, contraceptives in later eras, receipts, addresses, tokens of private life, small items that could support escape or secrecy. So the story became moral. A woman with hidden storage could be framed as dishonest, uncontrolled, even dangerous. That sounds extreme, until you realize how often societies label private freedom as a moral threat. As industrial work expanded, more women worked outside the home. Factories, shops, offices, domestic service in urban houses. Work requires tools, money, receipts, keys. Yet women's clothing often still lacked practical pockets. So women adapted. Aprons with pockets, work belts, handbags, hidden pouches, sewing pockets into garments themselves. That last part matters. Because when people consistently modify clothing to add pockets, that's not a preference. That's a demand. And the demand was simple. Give me the ability to carry my life. Fast forward and you see a strange pattern. Women's clothing begins to include pockets in many designs, but often the pockets are too small, stitched shut, placed awkwardly, designed more as decoration than function, and the debate returns every generation. Why? Because pockets are still competing with something else. The handbag economy. A bag is a product category, a fashion statement, a status object. If clothing gives everyone large, functional pockets, you reduce dependence on bags. So, pockets become negotiable, sometimes granted, sometimes withheld, not always by explicit conspiracy, but by the incentives of fashion, aesthetics, and commerce. And when the modern world adds one more object, the smartphone, pockets become even more controversial. Because now the question isn't, where do I keep my coins? It's, where do I keep my digital life? A phone is money, identity, keys, communication, documents, maps. A phone is a pocket-sized world. And if your clothing can't hold it, you feel it instantly. This is why pocket talk never dies, because it triggers a primal feeling: preparedness. A pocket lets you move without planning every detail. It reduces friction. It increases autonomy. It tells your body, you can handle what comes. When pockets are missing, you're forced into a different posture. Hold something, carry something, keep track of something, worry about losing something. It's small, but it adds up. That constant, low-level management is a kind of control, not dramatic enough for history books, but dramatic enough to shape daily life. So were women's pockets literally banned by a single law? Usually no, not in the simple one-decree way. But they were functionally restricted through a combination of fashion silhouettes that made hidden pockets impractical social expectations about what women should carry, moral suspicion toward hidden personal storage, economic incentives that pushed bags instead of built-in capacity. That's how many bans work in real life. Not through a courtroom, through design, through norms, through what becomes proper. And when something is made improper, it becomes expensive, inconvenient, or socially risky. That's a soft ban. Stitched into culture. A pocket is not just a pocket. It's private space. It's mobility. It's the ability to carry money, keys, and choices without permission. That's why this tiny object became political without slogans and powerful without speeches. And it's why every time someone asks, why don't women's clothes have real pockets? They're not asking about fabric. They're asking a deeper question. Who gets to move through the world with their life in their own hands?